Hello there, and welcome to the How to Market Your Horse Business podcast. So glad you are joining me here today. As you've likely guessed by now, my name is Denise Alvarez. I get to host you here on the podcast each week. And before we dive into our topic today, talking about getting you qualified leads for your equine business, I will quickly introduce myself just in case we're new friends, and then we'll jump in. Now, as I said, my name is Denise, and through my business, Storm Lily Marketing, I get to help dream chasing horse business owners like yourself to clear the marketing fog so they can take strategic, intentional steps to build their business with confidence and with purpose. Now, I do this primarily through business and marketing coaching and then education, such as this podcast, and I have some online learning resources for you also. All that I do, friends, is so that you, as an equestrian entrepreneur, as a horse business owner, can be out doing what you love to do. However it is you are serving the equine industry, whether you're a body worker, a trainer, a lesson instructor, a riding coach, or there's so many different facets, right? Photographers, gear makers. There's so many of you that are building a business, doing what you love, and serving the equine industry. And I want to help you do more of that. And so here today on the podcast, we're going to do that by way of talking about some lead sources. Okay. Now, why are we talking about this? Well, number one, this is the How to Market Your Horse Business podcast, right? My heart is to help you grow and market your business well. And one of the things that I hear oftentimes from coaching clients and from just conversations with many of you is, how do I find those right customers? How do I get the right people in the door? And let's be honest, many of you are not saying the word right. You're just saying, how do I get more clients and customers? But we're going to talk in a bit about the importance of using the word right as we frame that question. Now, many of you are likely already posting on social media or updating your website or getting a new website created or trying different tactics. But the reality is, if new people are not consistently finding you, then it can start to feel like spinning your wheels. And that's not what I want for you. What I want is for you to build a sustainable equine business. And that requires a steady pipeline of leads. Okay. Yes. Marketing jargon for those of you who are like, Denise, that's not my world. What the heck's a lead? A lead is just a potential new client, someone that comes in the door. Okay. So, or maybe let's just say that. Yes. For these purposes, somebody that comes in the door. Okay. We could get really technical, but we will not. Okay. So, that's the idea here, right? We need new people that are finding you, learning about you. And I will never be that marketer that says there is one way, this is the one thing that you should do that's going to fill your calendar overnight. Because the reality is there are multiple ways and multiple things can work. And I think that's where the overwhelm actually comes for many of you, is you hear so many different people say, just do it this way, just do this. If you would only do this platform, if you would only do this thing, if you would only, then it's like, which one's the real one that I need to follow? And I hate to break it to you, but there's not just one. But there is one for you and for your time, your energy, your capacity, your goals that you can focus on that will work. Okay. So my goal for today, we're going to talk about 7 different lead sources. I am not sharing this for you to have a checklist of things to do based on these 7 lead sources. I'm not expecting that you're doing every single one of these. Instead, my recommendation is that you choose what fits you right now and focus on that, because consistent action is where the real magic is. It's not a method, okay? It's not a magic method that's going to fix your marketing and bring in the right people. It's that consistent action and learning and growing and doing and not giving up that's going to happen, okay? So, yes to messy action, okay? And yes to being intentional and strategic, as we talked about. So I want to share these things with you today. It is not a completely comprehensive list of all the things you could do, but it's a pretty good list. It's a great place to either start or consider new ideas. So maybe you're listening to this podcast going, Denise, I actually have had a fairly steady flow, but I'm just curious what other ideas you might have. Awesome. I'm so glad you're here as well, because I hope that what you hear today may not be brand new to you, but it may inspire you to move in a different direction and find new people in a different way than you've been doing so far with your business. Okay. All right. So knowing these things, all right, laying the groundwork, let's dive in. Here are 7 lead sources for your horse business. Number 1, organic content. Now, when I say organic, that simply means it is not paid. The reality is, with the surge of social media, crazily enough, like 20 years ago, the doors that it opened for businesses to create content for free and get in front of your right people is amazing, right? Like, I don't know a better way to say it. It's amazing when you think about what was not possible before that is now possible for you. When you look at YouTube channels and the opportunity that provides, social media such as Instagram and Facebook or TikTok, Pinterest is another one, right? Podcast is actually organic content. It's not paid content. It is free content that is readily available. Facebook groups, I would couple this under organic content. Things that you are not paying for, that you can create, that will help you to get new leads in the door. Now, this episode is not specific to social media, but let me tell you, if you're going, Denise, this is the area I actually want help with and I struggle with, please reach out. I have some other episodes that I know would be helpful to you that I would love to share with you. Okay. So feel free to find me on social media, send me an email, denise@stormlily.com, and say, hey, I want some help with social media. What podcast episodes do you have? I have a library. We've been doing this for a while. And so I'd love to share some of that with you. But today, my goal is just for you to remember that organic content is a great lead source. Now, with that, let me tell you this. Let me just give you a simple thing to consider. And that is, in your mind as a business owner, you rightly are thinking about leads and getting people in the door. But if you're not careful, what happens is when you create content, that comes through and they can feel that and they're not necessarily drawn to that. So remember, just plain and simple, the 80-20 rule. It applies to so many things in life and it applies here when it comes to social media. 80% of your content should not be selling content, okay? When we're talking about organic, it is good. It is okay to sell and to make the ask and invite people to take action. But if that's all you do, then you're probably not going to get the results you're after. Okay. So please remember that as you think about your organic content strategy. And let me say this too. I'm looking at my note and seeing YouTube I put on there and podcast. I also have episodes talking specifically to strategies around YouTube for horse businesses and podcasting for horse businesses. So if that interests you, again, send me a message. I'd be happy to send you those episode links. Okay. So our second lead source to consider is search engine optimization, SEO. Now, this could technically, in some ways, fall under organic content when you think about if you have a blog post on your website. But really, SEO is a separate lead generation strategy than just social media or just organic content. With SEO, you're thinking about when someone searches on Google, Bing, whatever platform they're using, Safari, when they do a search for services that are specific to what you provide or products that are specific to what you provide. Are you coming up in those search results? That is SEO. Now, as I said, things have changed with social media. Things have also changed, especially in the past 12 to 18 months when it comes to SEO. Because not only do we have to be thinking about how do we come up in just regular, quote unquote, search results, we have to be thinking about how we come up or if we come up with AI generated search results. Now, depending on the website platform you use or the SEO type platform you use that gives you information and statistics on your website, they may be calling it GEO. So you've got SEO for search engine optimization and GEO for generative engine optimization. Okay. And that is just talking about that AI generated content. So when somebody right now, probably many of you, when you go onto the search platform and you ask a question, that first chunk that shows up on the page is actually an AI generated response. And from there, it links to other resources and references that you can follow. So there are ways that you can optimize your website, your profiles and things to be showing up with those search results. And that is a great way to get new leads in the door. Okay. So the other thing that falls in line, I will say this with SEO, is your Google business profile, because that really impacts how you show up in a lot of searches. And honestly, I do have another episode specific to this because, again, today as we're talking about different lead source ideas, but I do have deep dives into most of these. Okay. So if you want to learn more specifically about SEO, send me a message. I'll get you that episode. But what I was also going to mention is knowing this, the SEO piece and the GEO piece, is exactly why I invited a guest expert to come into the Business Barn Collective, my curated small group coaching program. And she shared specifically things and strategies and tips that members could keep in mind as they are trying to make sure that they are optimized for both SEO and GEO. So that really is important. And that is one of the aspects that I do inside of the Business Barn Collective, is take some of those deeper dives and do screen shares and that type of thing to really equip members inside of there. And so it's that important. Okay. It's something you can't really ignore. All right. So number 2 is SEO and GEO. Number 3, the third lead source for you to consider is advertising. Now, we could talk about print advertising or digital advertising, and I'm sure you have plenty of opinions about both of those. But let me just tell you, print is not dead. And especially for many of you, if you are working with local organizations, local shows, horse clubs, and things like that, many of them have programs. Many of them have, the banners that you can have around. Those can be great advertising avenues to get in touch with your right people. So yes, digital advertising, meta advertising, all of that can be really good, but don't discount print advertising as a way to get more of your right people in the door. Okay. Now, in this same vein with advertising, there are 2 things I want you to think about or consider. And number 1 is that the magic in ads, especially for digital ads, is in the funnel and the follow-up. Okay. So many of you I have talked to that have said, I've tried Facebook advertising or I've tried meta advertising. I felt like I didn't really get the return that I was expecting. And I think oftentimes that's because what we walk in expecting is maybe not aligned with the reality of how the platform works and how to actually get those results that you're hoping to get. Okay. So number 1, think about it from a funnel perspective and what you're actually going to do to follow up and convert those leads. They're great lead generators, but you got to have a plan in place for how you're going to turn that lead into a paying client. The second thing I want you to remember when it comes to advertising is that ads do not fix a broken message. Okay. If your messaging is not calling in qualified leads, then putting money behind it is not going to fix your problem. So first, make sure that you have clear messaging. Your content that you share organically is actually being received and converting well. And then amplify those results with advertising dollars. Okay. Because if you just put money behind something that's not working, you're just amplifying the problem, not the results that you're hoping to get. Now, I do have a podcast episode on advertising, but things have changed a lot since we talked about meta ads and Facebook advertising on the podcast years ago. And so stay tuned because later this year, I do have a new guest I'm going to introduce you to who specializes in high converting meta advertising and funnels. And she's going to share some of her insights with us. So stay tuned for that. Okay. All right. Number 3, advertising. Number 4, guest podcasting. Now, I'm saying guest podcasting, but honestly, let's just say guest, and you can fill in the blank, okay? Guest articles, you could guest on somebody else's YouTube channel, essentially borrowing somebody else's audience, getting in front of new eyes by becoming a guest. You could do that as a podcast interview. You can do that, like I said, maybe somebody wants to or has a really lively YouTube channel that you're connected with, and they're in front of a similar audience, but you guys do different things. Could you be on their YouTube channel and on their video and they would talk about you and point people to you? Okay. I actually have a Business Barn Collective member this week that is recording 4 different podcast interviews as a way to get her in front of more of her right people. And so this is a win. And this is things that I am seeing clients do. It's not just me because I happen to be a podcaster, but you, as an expert in your field, could make a great guest for another podcast, another channel, another even Facebook Live where you can become a guest there. Okay. Now, I do want to caution you, I should say that. If you want to try guest podcasting, I want you to remember when you are pitching yourself as a guest, focus on the value that you will provide their audience and be as specific as possible. Okay. I receive pitches for people to be on this podcast, and sometimes it is just amazing and interesting and frankly annoying and a waste of time when you get an email that people clearly have not done their homework and they think that just because they offer something really great and they have XYZ following, that makes them a great fit to be a podcast guest. But that's not the filter I use. My goal here on this podcast is to bring you guys value, right? So if you're wanting to be a guest on someone else's podcast, please pitch a topic that helps their audience solve a problem that you're qualified to help them with, okay? All right, our fourth way of getting new leads was doing guesting, okay? We're going to borrow audiences by being a guest. The fifth way that you can bring new leads into your equine business is through referrals, okay? Referrals. I'm sorry, I scrolled too far with my notes. The fifth way you can go is to do referrals. Now, what does that mean? You can literally clients that you love right now that you want to duplicate, okay? You can bring referrals in the door by asking them to ask their people. It can be that simple, okay? I know many of you have told me, Denise, I just grew by word of mouth. I was constantly getting referrals in the door. That's awesome. Organic referrals, lovely. But what about those of you who are saying, I need new leads? Have you taken the time to ask your clients and customers to give you referrals? Now, let me also just tell you, it's not wrong to incentivize referrals. 100%. You want to do it in the most legal way. There are ways to do that. Affiliate programs could be a way for you to do that. And I do have an episode on affiliate programs that I'd be happy to send you. Send me a note. Tell me, Denise, I want to learn about affiliates. I'll get you that. But you can call it a partnership program, a referral program. Maybe you're going to, there are so many ways, honestly. I start to throw out ideas, but I literally just had a coaching call with a client this morning where we were talking about her referral program and how we can help get more of the right people in the door through that. So there are ways to do it, whether it's giving out a session, whether it's sending a thank you gift, whether it's commission-based like affiliate programs. There are different ways to incentivize referrals. But finding the people that you want to duplicate and asking them to tell their friends, their family, is a great way to get new leads in the door. Now, can I just tell you this before we move on to the next one? If you're going to do this, please remember that if you ask people you don't love working with to send you referrals, you're very likely to get more of those types of people, okay? Birds of a feather flock together, as they say, right? So just remember that as you're looking at building out a referral program and being intentional about who you ask those referrals from. Okay, the next piece, the next lead source that I have for you is to host an event. Okay. So when I say host an event, there we go. When I say host an event, here's what I mean. It could be virtual. It could be in person. It could be, for example, a masterclass that you have on Zoom and you go live and teach something. That is a webinar technically. These days, most of the time, you're not going to see people promoting their virtual event as a webinar, but that is the structure that we're leaning into. You can call it a workshop. You can host a challenge. You could have a clinic. You can do that in person or virtual as a way to get new people in the door. You can do, again, workshop style format in person or virtual. But hosting an event is a great way to get new leads in the door. Now, sometimes it's free. Sometimes it's not. Depends on your setup and your goals, okay? There's not a wrong or right answer to that. I know a lot of times clients will say they have good experience using paid events to qualify people because right now we have so many free offerings, okay, that it's not abnormal to sign up for something that's free and never attend and not think anything of it. But once you put a little bit of money down, you look at it a little differently. So it can work well to qualify your leads using a paid event, but it can also work really well to do a free event. For example, an open house. Maybe you do a showcase. Maybe you do a barn showcase. Maybe you do a lesson showcase, right? And you have people come out and see what your students are learning and showcase what's possible. Have a way for them to book an introductory lesson while they're there. There are lots of ways that you can make it work to host an event as a way to bring source leads in the door. Now, as you do that, please remember to have, again, that follow-up structure in place. Be intentional about that. Getting a lot of people on your property is not always going to be a return on investment if you don't go into it with that ahead of time and you really have that in mind, okay? So be intentional, be strategic about it, but 100% events can be a great way to get people in the door. Frankly, that is why I'm hosting my new mini workshop series that you guys are going to be hearing about, the spring cleanup. Last fall, we did a reset. We got ready for the coming year. Now it's spring. I'm going to host a free mini workshop series, 3 days, 30 minutes every day, and we're going to go in and clean up some parts of your business so that you can get ready for the busy summer season ahead. Okay, so I would love to invite you guys to be a part of that. You're welcome, depending on when you're listening to this episode, of course, to head over to stormlily.com/spring. Get signed up to join me. We're going to be doing that the end of March and the first couple of days of April. 2026. That's the time this episode is coming out, as I know I have new friends that may listen to this later. But for those of you that are listening as it comes out, I want you to know that that is coming up. Okay. So that's an example of a free virtual event and a way to get new friends in the door. Many of you have heard me talking about mini workshops before or attended a live workshop, but many of you have never actually attended. And this is a great way for me to get face to face with you, learn about your business, your goals, and how I can best help you here on the podcast and as a business coach. So I would love to get you there. And I will say one more thing about that, not just my spring cleanup workshop, but events in general. Okay. A word of warning. If you host an event and it is all about you and it is all about setting it up so that the problem they have is clear, but the only solution is you and you're not actually giving them a win, I will just tell you, people are really weary of that. Okay. I have sat in on one. I literally last week was on a call where somebody said it was a free strategy call. They would look and talk about some specific things related to strategy. And we got on the call and it was 0 strategy, 100% sales, and it felt icky. And I got off that call and I was like, this is so frustrating when people do that. And so I want to caution you as a business owner, if you're hosting a free masterclass, do not make that masterclass you just talking about your program for 60 minutes. Add some real value, okay? Let people walk away with a win and build that trust in you. It will come back to you, okay? I'm not going to guarantee you that everyone that's on that will become a paying customer. To be honest with you, we did an episode at the end of last year, 2025, looking at the stats. And for conversion events, you're looking at 3 to 5% conversions in terms of people that will attend and then actually become your paid customers on that event. But remember, it can take 7, 8, or 9 touches for someone to become your client. I literally just worked with a website client last fall. And when I looked back at the emails, the first time she emailed me to reach out for us to talk was in fall of 2023. 2 years later, we did a website project together. Okay. So please remember that as people come in for your events, come to your open house, as they connect with you in all these different ways, you are planting seeds and you are building trust. It is not a one and done. It is not a turn and burn philosophy when you are building a sustainable equine business. Okay, that was number 6. Last one, your 7th lead source is networking. Okay, getting outside of your bubble and building connections with people through networking. Now, that can look like virtual networking, and that can be helpful, and I have done that. But also, I would encourage you to really think about in-person networking. And it doesn't have to be, quote unquote, a networking event. When's the last time you intentionally went to a trade show or an expo or attended a clinic for learning with the intention of making new connections for your business? If you look at it that way and you walk in the door with the intention of creating an opportunity to build connections and potentially meet new leads, then you're going to walk away with a lot more than you are probably used to. Now, like I said in the very beginning, I'm not asking you or encouraging you to approach networking events as what can I get? Okay? That will turn people off so quickly. So walk in expecting to give. Walk in expecting to build relationship and connection. And you're a business owner. It is okay to want to make connections that are connected to helping you grow your business. Okay? That is not wrong. And if you're walking in only with that intention and not expecting to serve and give to others, they can feel it. Okay. And it's kind of like I said with that sales call, it feels icky. All right. And you don't want that. That's not going to build trust. And to be honest, I know that if you're here listening to this podcast, there's a very good chance that your heart is to serve, that your heart is to provide value, that your heart is to build and grow with purpose and to make an impact. And so I guarantee these are things you already know as you're walking into events. I just want to underline it for all of us so that we're on the same page. Okay. So networking can be a great way to have leads. Remember to have a business card. I encourage you to have a QR code where they can quickly scan it and get to your website or get to the contact form or the intake form or whatever action is that you want them to take. Put that on your business card, have that easily available. But that can be a really good way to get more of the right people in the door. Okay. All right. I know that was flash fire. I told you 7 ideas is a lot. And my goal is, again, for you to be inspired to take 1 or 2 of these. Okay. Focus on that for the next 30 days. Let me just ask you that. For the next 30 days, what is it that you can commit to for your business that will get you new leads coming in the door? Okay. Now, I did tell you in the beginning we were going to talk about this idea of the right people, and I want to make sure we address that because whether you and I are working together on the podcast or in a one-on-one coaching capacity and Take the Reins or in the Business Barn Collective, we talk about qualifying leads because it matters. You are not for everyone, and that is okay. It is a good thing. And the reality is you need to know who you are for so that the content you create, the ads you create, the way you explain your business helps you to get more of the right people in the door. Okay? Because we don't just want leads, we want quality leads. People that you're going to love working with and that love working with you. People that you truly are going to be able to help. And so that's why that piece is the basis of everything I do, whether it's in the Business Barn Collective, Take the Reins one-on-one coaching, Clarity coaching calls, or here on the podcast. It's so important. We're qualifying those leads. Now you're going, okay, Denise, I'm going to have leads coming in. What do I do after that? Great question. Important question. Not the topic of today's episode, but it matters greatly. And that's why we're going to talk about that inside of my spring cleanup that I mentioned to you earlier, because many horse businesses are losing leads because they don't have a system for following up. They're making connections, but then what happens after that, right? There's not a welcome sequence going out when they get new emails on their email list. There's not a way to nurture people and keep that connection going. There's not a repeatable system in place that makes it easier for you. And that's one of the things we're going to look at inside of the spring cleanup workshops so that as you head into your busy summer season, as people see the amazing things you are doing and they want to work with you, we have a system in place. Okay. So again, I would love to have you join me inside. It is a free mini workshop series. If you cannot attend live, I will send out replays because I get how life can be, especially life in the horse world and with horses and serving horse people. I get it. So whether you join live or not, I hope you will sign up. You just go to stormlily.com/spring. It is at the end of March, beginning of April. You can get all the information there and get signed up, and we can help you take place with those leads, figure out what's going to take place when those new leads come in. Okay. Now, I hope that this was helpful to you. That is always my goal. And I hope that you will send it to a friend because here's the reality. Okay. My goal is to help more people like you. who are chasing your horse business dreams. And when I say that, I don't mean you're just starting out. I mean, you have a vision, whether you've been doing this for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. When I say chasing dreams, it's because you are growth minded. You have big dreams and goals in place. And I want to help you to do more of that and accomplish those. Okay. And I know you have friends who are doing it alongside you. So if this episode was helpful to you, share it with a friend. Okay. And then subscribe so you don't miss any more episodes. And then, like I said, if you have specific questions about one of these lead sources, I would love to help you with that. I'd love to send you a related podcast episode where we dive deeper into each of those. So please feel free to reach out. I'm on social media, Storm Lily Marketing, or you can email me, denise@stormlily.com. All right. All right. So now from this, you're going to go sign up first for the spring cleanup. And then you're going to pick one or two lead sources that you're going to focus on for the next 30 days. And then stay in touch. Let me know how it goes. I'm so glad you are here. I'm so grateful for you. And I'm praying and believing big things for you in your business. Have an amazing day.